sorry. So today we have Tiina Bruno here, who is an entrepreneur, and she will talk about how to be family smart. Okay.
Vill jag ändra i kameraläget till kameraläget 2?
Vad sa du?
Tack.
Wonderful to be here. And wonderful to be here with you there too. Actually my safe spot during 2 years now with lots of webinars. So I'd like you to start with remembering a moment. Close your eyes if you want to. Try to remember a moment, a memory, where you truly felt that someone supported and believed in your wish to try something new that you hadn't done before. Maybe scary. A moment where you really felt the attitude that I know you can, and I'll share my experience with you when you need it, if you need it. I know you dare, and I'll hold your back, always, no matter what. I know you'll succeed, because I believe in you, and through all the steps and mistakes you'll make on the journey. That is about leadership, the kind of leadership really needed right now, always, but especially now maybe. Based on compassion, empathy, humility, trust. It's about parenting and caring for the near and dear, close and far away. It's about caring for ourselves, the kind of self-compassion and self-leadership, also so much needed now, to be resilient and meet all those ongoing challenges in our very complex world. So many talk about that it's a new leadership needed now in the new normal after the pandemic and so on. Maybe you heard that. What if it's not a new leadership needed, but more new ways of identifying and using the awareness and leadership skills that most people, all I would say, already have within them. Trained daily, sometimes in very tough situations, on a learning arena which is outside the workplace and outside all the leadership courses you can go and so on. I have a vision. I'm an entrepreneur since 12 years ago, and my vision has 2 parts. I would like not to hear from employers and companies that there is a lack of talent, lack of competence. What if we could just use all competence available in smarter ways? Like we do more and more, use all resources in smarter ways. It's about sustainability. So why not use all competence? And the other part is that on the individual level, that no one should need to choose between family and work anywhere in the world. Because that is the case today. And that is actually the core of my passion and stubborn entrepreneurship since 12 years ago. I've been traveling around to many countries to understand how this kind of mindset can add keys to solve actually a global challenge, because it affects so many people, families, workplaces, societies connected to sustainable life and work life, gender equality, inclusion, lots of topics. How can we solve that with a common denominator that is possible to talk about everywhere? So I would like to tell, it's a very short session here, but I'd like to tell you during these minutes more about this idea of mine, why I haven't given up, why the timing now is so right to make it happen. And my hope is that after this you go with a seed of a shifted mindset and a seed of curiosity of exploring yourself and your competences in maybe a new way. So, I'm mother of 3. That's always on top of my CV. My firstborn is actually here today. Tiina, there. Wave to turning 21 on Monday. It's incredible. Goes fast. When Tiina was small like this, with her brothers, Victor and Elliot, they are now 19 and 16. During my maternity leaves, 2 questions popped up in my mind. And they kept coming every time, and stronger. And that was a question about, anyway, you see, how does parenting develop leadership? And I was curious, and I did research very quick and easy among 100 managers with kids and sent an email to ask them this question. And I got 80 answers back, fantastic stories within a week. And I gathered them in a book, Familysmart, handbok för chefer och medarbetare, Parentsmart book 12 years ago. Because I believe very much in storytelling and true examples in abstract areas, not the least. I had another question too. How can employers benefit and get return on investment? I mean, using their language, ROI, with this kind of wins, the competences, but also other wins when they support working parents and caregivers. Because, I won't take this part away, can I? Yeah. When we talk about the leadership needed, as I said, based on compassion and trust and empathy, humility, delegation, team building, lots of things, I really thought about the life I had myself. I was working as a coach, meeting a lot of working parents, managers with family, that lots it is about. I mean, all those things develop in family context. And now I talk about parenting and caring in a very wide context. Caring for children, for your old parents, for friends, for neighbors, your partner, somebody close, somebody far away. So, I mean, this is nothing new, right? I mean, people have in all times, in all cultures, used their parenting and caring skills at work, but don't always think about it. What would happen if we connected more? What would happen if we talked about family life as one of the best leadership courses you can get, and start connecting it to the hardcore language and values used at work in many companies to get things going? Return on investment, because it is connected to company vision and values and strategic goals and profitability and KPIs. So I'm an economist working with development of both organizations and people, connecting those soft things with the hardcore that make this topic higher up on the agenda so things can happen at work. So you don't meet, I have so many examples of companies supporting with paid parental leave and so on, and then a father can anyway feel that it's not really okay to use it. And that's about leader attitudes. So I wanted to build an awareness of parenting and caregiving as an asset at work, not a burden. Shift norms. Because there are 2 areas that employers and workplaces normally focus on when they support parents and caregivers and all their employees. But the one here, formal support as we call it, is the most common and something that often is considered as a cost. And that's why sometimes it's considered a burden. It's connected to time, like flexible working, money, paid parental leave. Maybe you've seen Volvo Cars and other Spotify, other companies, they invest millions in paid parental leave, in routines, meetings not before 9, after 3, IT solutions to work remotely. That's not an issue anymore, but it costs a lot for many. Not so many focus on the more informal support you can give, which is what the mindset that I wanted to transfer to you in the beginning. And that's about the focus on wins, return on investment, and working actively with attitudes and behaviors and leadership, and especially with role models. That's the easiest way, and actually it doesn't cost anything at all. We had a manager who was father of 3 kids over 20, and he almost started crying when he realized that had I thought like this 20 years ago, I had taken paternity leave. So please do, all fathers in this company. And that was the head of board of Ericsson, and the Sandvik CEO said the same thing. So that's a good role model too, even though he didn't do it. So if you just have this conviction in your heart, it can change a lot. So doing both and get leader buy-in on all levels early, work in a structured way with this abstract topic, and through all stages of family life, and all kinds of family life, because you don't need to have children to use this mindset. But it's a very big group, so I normally say if you want to create an inclusive society, inclusive workplace, it's good to work with a group which is big and large and all over the world, and then get very good impact for all. So that's to be Familysmart as an employer, manager, and employee. And this is universal. This is a universal key because it's wonderful. I've been traveling a lot with the Swedish Institute and UN agencies and projects and meeting companies in everything from Moldova and Belarus to Japan, and nowhere in the world, when talking about how parenting and caring adds value at work, no one can say that it's utopia only possible in Sweden. So it's so great to start with that, to get a common, because multinational companies want to have a common denominator. So family life has value at work everywhere. Let's start with that and then adapt to local context and legislations. So starting with that, if leaders have this mindset, and with leaders I mean not only leading people, everybody leads, somebody leads themselves, but having this mindset so all employees feel that it's not only okay, it's a value when I spend time with my family, friends, pets, not having bad conscience, leaving work when they should. We get employers who become attractive, who retain talent, the employer branding areas, more gender equal, inclusive. They often search for something concrete to work with diversity inclusion. This is one way. And often the challenge I meet in companies is that they don't really know who will own this topic, because it connects to employer branding, to diversity inclusion, to competence development, to PR and marketing. But that's also the good news. So I often ask people to just put these budgets together and invest in supporting your employees in new ways. And it doesn't cost much for them. So then they can add to societies that are more sustainable and gender equal. And fathers in Japan taking paternity leave, not for the mother, not for the child, not for the family, not for themselves. But if the company says it's a value at work, things can start happen also there, because they offer paternity leave paid from the government in Japan, but nobody uses it. So it can really affect societies, and that's why it connects to the SDGs. And then many global companies want to connect to the global goals, so concrete they're doing that. So that is the impact flower. And well, that was a very quick one about the idea and the wins with it. Now I'm so happy to see that this topic has never been so much in focus everywhere in the world, in all workplaces, families, the combination of work with family during the pandemic as now. So we have a golden opportunity to raise this. How can we continue? Not only talking about these learnings, how to do Zoom and team meetings and digital learnings, but also another learning at home. And we're actually looking now for partners and investors to scale these ideas on a global arena, because the true experts are not me and my consultant team. Actually, it's the companies working with it. I do projects for Kosovo, Albania. They know their context. They need to exchange experience with each other, and I believe in that. So, ending with that, that was a quick one. I would like to give you something concrete back, and Ingrid and Lovat are going to share some papers with you. We're going back to analog exercise, if that's fine with you, because it actually is quicker than doing Menti and other things. So I would like you to go back to the first question that I told you that I asked the managers. You're going to get the opportunity to think about a private learning arena and 3 skills that you develop on that arena that may be useful at work. And either it's at work where you work today or future work if you're a student or... So you can grab a neighbor and you can grab a neighbor 2 and 2 and help each other to find one learning arena. It can be, you have examples, it can be parenting, it can be caring for pets, training a football team, whatever you choose, outside work. And then just brainstorm 3 skills or behaviors that could be useful at work. And write that down. And at the bottom, if you write your email address, we can send the whole list to you, and you get this to put on the fridge and look at every day. So take 2-3 minutes and talk to each other if you want to. I would like you who are online to do the same thing. Think about a private situation, developing skills, and write in the chat which area it is, if it's parenting or football training, the 3 skills, and then write your email address at the bottom of your message and just send it in the chat, and we will keep that and send the list to you too. Any questions? You follow? Yeah. This motivation, inspiration picture too, so you can see. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a parent, and one of my things that I find very useful both at home and in my work situation is that I feel very motivated to be a role model when it comes to sticking with my values.
That's important. That's good. To be a role model, sticking to your values, and to not only say what's right, but also do what's right, right? Thank you. Good example. What did you have?
Gardening.
Gardening. Great. What do you think then?
I was thinking of routine checking, so always remembering to check on something that's growing, with just a short check-in, and then exactly, and then it kind of grows through that.
Yeah, a follow-up.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a very good example. More? The young ones here, my Lovart.
I spoke about customer service, actually. I work as a receptionist, and I think most of all in that I've learned to kind of problem solving, handle like situations when people are critical of something, and handling their emotions on that.
Yeah, great. And this is interesting because you are working. You have not yet tried even to combine work. You're not working full time. You're students. You don't have family with more than you have your small family. But interesting to think about these things early. Did you find something?
Yes, I did. On my private learning arena as a parent, I remember the feeling in my family when everybody did the same thing towards the same goal.
Yeah. Everybody did the same thing toward the same goal in family. Useful for you working as a priest?
Yes.
In your work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I understand that. Anyone else want to share?
Well, I think makes you a very good planner. You work until for more schedule. You have to get kids from school or from something else. You have to plan your day
and organize
your life in a better way, and I think that helps you in work too.
I can fill in on that. I totally agree. Logistics is something that I train quite a lot.
Yeah.
I have a mother of 4, and just soft logistics is a little bit interesting thing at home.
Lena is a mother of 4, and I'm just having this group here.
But also other logistics, like getting this right person to get with the right things to the right place at the right moment.
So listen, it's interesting because you could talk for ages. I can't even go to dinner and say what I work because people start thinking, and that's what we want. I mean, it's not so far away in the mind. It's just a shifted mindset, and one easy question can start a lot. So I would like you just to bring this question back and ask your colleagues, friends, partner, children this question. See what happens. Because when I did the book, I got 80 responses, and like all of them thanked me for posing the question. So that is actually really changing things. So anyway, we're going to gather those papers. If you just leave them when you to Lina here when you go, and we'll gather everything, and we'll send you the full list of skills. And if anyone wants to know more about how to do it as an individual or company, so you can just contact me, and I would be happy to come back to Uppsala and talk more about this in any context and so on. I have some information about the idea, some recaps about what I talked to you on the paper if you want to come and get that. So I think I'm done.
Are there any other questions that someone would like to ask?
We might have some digital questions.
And you can take a photo of this. You don't need to. So questions in the chat or
You have to open the chat, I think.
Could you hear us?
Yes.
We hear.
We hear you.
Ah,
Yeah, okay, good. I have a question for you, Tiina. Thank you so much for your talk. Really interesting. Are there any specific traits that organizations or companies have that you could see that really value people or being able to be parents at the same time? Are there any specific traits that you could see?
Trends.
Traits.
Yes, any among the employers that really understand this, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What are the traits that you can see? What are their success factors?
The companies who really get this and work with the informal part too are the ones that truly are retaining their competence, they're attractive, they're inclusive and offering a sustainable work life for all through all stages of life, I would say. And having this mindset and the top management, that's why this needs to be connected to return on investment and economy and everything too. But they truly get it because you can't prove it. I always get the question, and abroad not the least, how can you prove it? How can you measure it and the profitability? I have lots of KPI examples, but it's hard because it's so new. But to have this conviction that this is a way to be more inclusive and offer sustainable. So you need to have this inner value among leaders. That's the common denominator in these companies, I think. Was that the right answer?
Thank you. Thank you.
Questions from the audience here?
I have a question regarding, have you studied like the different size of the organizations? Like, is it easier for larger organizations if you compare to startups or small businesses? Have you done any studies regarding the size?
Good question. If I have looked at the different sizes of companies and the possibilities to work with this. I met a lot of different sizes of companies and not done studies, but what we see is that of course huge multinational companies have resources in other ways and money to support with paid parental leave, like Volvo Cars globally and so on. But the advantage with smaller companies or entrepreneurs and my team that I want to build too, I mean we're just 8, is that it goes quicker. You can really gather, I mean the people who are leaders are also the one working with HR and the decisions go quicker. So, but I think that that's a very good question because the small companies sometimes think that they aren't even, it's not inspiring or relevant for them to look at the big ones, but they also have so much to learn from each other. So we also try to build bridges between all businesses, but also sizes of companies. But I would like to do a study, so if you're in, then join me to work with. More questions?
We
Yes.
have another digital question here.
Yeah.
I think from Claudia. Do you have a question?
Yep. Hi. It's kind of not really a question, it's more like an observation, if that's
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Before you mentioned in Japan where the government allows fathers to do papaledig in paternity leave, but they don't. I come from a culture where that's exactly the same. I come from the UK and it's the same culture. The government allows the fathers to take paternity leave,
Yes.
but they don't because the reality is that they will get fired from their job
Exactly.
if they try to do that.
Yeah.
It's not, and so the government needs to change the laws and or change the policy. Or what would work even better is that organisations like yours should be very active in countries like Japan, the USA, the UK, where traditionally fathers can't take more than a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Even often they don't do it at all because they're frightened of losing their jobs, and even mothers are frightened of losing their jobs. So
Yeah.
what I kind of want to say is that don't be too harsh on yourselves in Sweden because you're actually leading the whole world. You're doing it better than anyone else. So it's amazing the paternity and maternity leave in this country. It's really, really amazing.
Thank you, Claudia. And it's wonderful that you say, because the thing is that we, when we go out, I've been to very many countries and realize that, I mean, the very important thing coming from Sweden is that we are proud of our heritage, our history and experience about this, but also humble when we go up, because we did lots of mistakes on the journey that we also need to share, and then it goes quicker in other places. And we can learn so much from others. So actually, I normally say that we can inspire with examples from Sweden, but only local examples, only local role models from the country context can change local attitudes and local norms. So we can inspire with our stories. Right now I work with a UN project with piloting in Kosovo, Albania, Moldova, and they want to have Swedish stories and examples. And I give them, but they also need to find their own. That's what we're working with, because that's relevant for that region.
So I would also like to say thank you. It's very inspiring, and when I first met you, it was an opener for me to look at this, and as you said, to ask the question.
Yeah.
So great thanks for this presentation today.
And I stay here if you have more questions or want to know more, just come here, and wonderful to be here.
In the digital audience, for you guys who would like to